You don't like to cry, though.
I don't know.
You know?
Did you loosen his clothes?
What? His
You
pants were all
okay?
backwards, honey. Now, what chapter again was that you were editing?
Huh?
Oh my God, do you think that I don't know. But your pictures.
How many? How you feeling?
The governor was
Huh?
getting a massage when he died.
From you?
No, not.
How many surgeries you had
The
now?
governor's aide called me. We met here. We dressed Governor Fletcher.
More than 3, I know that.
Yeah. Then they got that emergency one the other night for the
Yeah.
blood, huh?
So
Oh, it's bad.
Okay, so his
Yeah.
aide asked you to supply a cover story. The
When did
governor
this
has
first
children.
start?
There's no reason why they need to know. that
Way back in the first of the year.
She was
I think it started, I fell in,
Police, that makes me feel better.
well, before the botch surgery. I had to wait a month and a half to get a MRI. Because I went to Dr. Dominique, and he told me he was not going to see me until I got this MRI. So a month and a half later, I was able to get an MRI. That's all they had on the schedule. And then I went back to him after that,
Nothing of value was missing from his office. This was a hit.
and he told me he'd do the surgery, or that I had that surgery, and I kind of knew that.
Not gonna kill her own client.
And then on April 9th,
Adelia started a war.
he did the surgery.
Why did I kill Mr. Fletcher?
And on April
We
10th,
know you were there in the townhouse. We found
or
your fingerprints on
11th,
the doorknob, the phone.
I see him every
I went
Tuesday and
home.
Thursday, 8 p.m.
I was in so much pain,
Stop lying.
I couldn't even hardly move. I was crying, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything. Then Pete took me to the emergency room, and they did a CAT scan. And this lady, doctor, came out and said that there was something wrong, that the screws weren't in the bone, and they were just floating around. And I was talking like I'd been sucking on helium. And she said she says there's something wrong. So I went to Florence or Charlotte or something, MSNBC. And
Went back to see Dr. Dominique. Remember? And that's
oh yeah. And after the emergency room, I went to Dominique, and he said that he wondered why we went to the emergency room. And Pete said because it was a weekend, and Debbie was crying, and she couldn't, she couldn't do anything. She was so crying, in so much pain. So we went to the emergency room, and he said, well, why did you go there? Pete said, because I couldn't reach you. It was a weekend. And then he got real mad, and he asked something about, because the lady had given me like 8 pain pills. I was in so much pain. He goes, well, why did you get those pills? And Pete said, because she was in so much pain, she couldn't stop crying. And the lady said she had a botched surgery. And he said, well, it's not botched. It's just right. And he walked out of the room. And he never came back. And finally, his partner came in. Dr. Sosa, something.
Nasso.
The Nasso.
Bill Nasso.
Yeah, Bill Nasso. And he said that there was a problem with the pinnacle screws, and that they weren't in the bone, and that he would do the surgery if we wanted. So we didn't know what to do. We said, okay. Anyway, we go to Florence for the surgery. And they're getting ready to take me down. The doctor came in and he said, okay, we're ready to go. You're all prepped. Operating room's ready. He says, okay, we're going down. So the nurse came in with a paper and kept pointing to him. And he kept pushing her away and she kept getting the paper and he says, okay, come on, we're going down now. Finally he looked at the paper and he walked out of the room and he came back and he said, we have an issue, we can't do the surgery. So all of a sudden, these people come in and say, well, we're going to take you over to
MUSC.
MUSC, that they need to look at something. And so they didn't tell me what it was. And the helicopter people were real nice and they said, oh, we just have to fill the spot. And so we're going to take you by the helicopter. And I said, well, you can take somebody else. And they said, nah, we just fill in the space, we'll take you. And so I get in the helicopter, go over to the older hospital, and they do emergency surgery. And they didn't tell me why, but it was an aneurysm. But my husband and daughter were there, so they told her why. And I didn't know anything. And I woke up there, and they said because of the aneurysm, they couldn't do a revision surgery. But I needed revision surgery because the other surgery was not right. The screws weren't in, they didn't know what was going on, and that they couldn't tell anything till they got in there. Well, now I had to get their doctor, the guy that did the aneurysm stent, came in and told me,
Vascular surgeon John Lena.
vascular surgeon John Lena came in and told me that they had the best neurosurgeon in the country and that I should go to him. So now I had to wait forever to get an appointment with him. Finally did, and he reviewed. He made me get a CT scan. So then, when he finally took me in to see me, he reviewed the scan and told me he didn't think he was capable of doing the surgery. Then he left the room and he looked at something else. Came back and he said, I'll do it. He said, but I want you to know you could be quadriplegic or come out dead. There'll be all kinds of complications, and that this surgery will be a lot harder on him than me. So I said, okay, just do what you gotta do. So we scheduled the surgery for September 15th. I had to have some other, in between that time, I ended up with bleeding ulcers. So I went in the hospital, Seacoast, and they took care of that. Had some operation. It just went down my throat. Said the bleeding was under control.
And that
So,
was because of the Brilinta they had you on for the stent in your neck.
right. They said I had to immediately come off of that because that was causing the bleeding. So, the Brilinta that the neurosurgeon said was so important, I had to go off of, which I did. 2 weeks later, September 15th, I had revision neck surgery. Everything looked okay on that. Well, then, I had a couple issues, so I couldn't get out of bed for 2 days. finally, the third day, they got me out of bed, and my body was like shaking and jumping, and my head wouldn't hold up, and I was jumping like a spasm around. So they called the doctor here,
Resident surgeon.
resident surgeon, immediately to my room. He came in and he said, she has to have a CT scan immediately. So they immediately took me for a CT scan. They brought me back to the room. Doctor came in and he said, you have to have surgery. You have 3 minutes. So 3 minutes later, a team came in, took me down to the surgery room. I had another surgery. They went through the same neck thing, and it was some kind of a clot,
It was a hematoma.
a hematoma,
Blood accumulating on your spine.
right? So it was an emergency surgery. So this is where I am today. That was a couple days ago. I've been getting out of bed and walking, but my left leg is not working right. It won't move right. And so now the plan is for me to go to rehab. I hadn't been able to eat or drink because something has happened in my throat to where it's gotten real tiny and nothing will go down. So we're working on that. They changed everything to liquid medications, which I've been on. Will go down. And I'm still not able to eat or drink. Not able to eat or drink. But we're working on that. So they're gonna try to give me like some ginger ale or some pudding. Anything that could possibly go down. I'm working on that now. And the plan is for me to go to rehab because I can't walk. I don't have any function hardly in my left side. So we're gonna work on getting that back. And then I don't know how long I'll be at the rehab. But when I get out of there, I can go home. I don't know how long that's gonna be. But we're gonna work. And everybody's been real nice and helpful. And I'm just gonna work towards getting the left leg to walk. And then I could go home. And that's